Howdy, howdy, fellow movie watchers, and welcome back for another edition of the Wisco Movie Watchers Podcast, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, we're your hosts, Evan and Dylan Davies. Now, this was supposed to be part of our Marvel / James Bond news episode and our post-mortem stack rankings of the greatest action scene tournament, which you can see all of those in single form now if you want to see them in little bits and pieces for yourselves. But we promised something on that last episode. What are we doing today, Dylan?
So we're going to create our own studios. And we're going to pick actors or actresses to be exclusive, kind of like the golden age of Hollywood studio system.
Yes.
Where they would actually sign exclusivity rights.
Yes, we are.
Which completely fucked up nowadays.
We are technically breaking the law with this episode because those were shown to be antitrust violations and all kinds of other things. But
yeah,
we're in the spirit of the big studio. We are going to do a draft, and it's just kind of fun to... It's more so this draft is harkening back to the golden age of movies in terms of how things were presented and how much prestige film had. Which is part of the reason I think this draft experience is going to be really fun.
It wasn't just actors and actresses that had exclusivity, right? Like in their actual contracts, it was directors, writers.
Yeah,
like everyone, every person on set would have that.
Right.
Like they could not work with another studio unless they loaned them out, which usually only happened one when a studio was willing to pay a shitload of money, or two, when all of a sudden the studio head just got fucking pissed off at the actor or actress out of nowhere and was like, get the fuck out of here. We're loaning you out for a while. That happened quite often, actually.
What's ironic is the way you speak about it, it kind of sounds like European soccer or international soccer.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Where it's, play for us. We want to give you this big contract. Someone else can go pay this money now. Pay the loan. We'll loan you to another team. Which,
you know what?
That system makes no sense to me. Like, say what you want about the NFL. It's problematic in its own ways. To me, at least, it makes sense. You're with this team. Your contracts expire.
I actually like the loaning out system. But, yeah, there are flaws to it. 100%.
It's just somewhat wild to do. So, this... we can't take credit for this one. We aped this idea from the Big Picture podcast, which I highly recommend for someone who wants to learn more about movies, from The Ringer. And Sean Fennessy, also I need to correct that. I kept saying Sean Ryan because I kept making Chris Ryan and Sean Fennessy one person. It's Sean Fennessy and Amanda Dobbins did the movie studio draft, which was in late 2024. So this is how we're going to be doing this. We need to draft 5 movie stars. Actors, actresses, does not matter.
Oh, I need a clarifying question, too.
Yes.
I forgot to ask this before we started. Are we doing a live people only?
Yes.
Okay. I had both of them written down just in case.
Yes.
Because I was like, because if we are allowing dead people, my list would be very different.
Oh, I mean, yeah, my list would also be very different here. Because also then, I feel like if you play with dead people, then you can play with time. And you can be like, well, I want this actor, but I want this actor from 30 years ago. You know, not
this
actor from today, so to speak. So you have to draft 5 movie stars, 3 directors, 2 screenwriters, and a wild card creative. So it could be any of those things, or it could be another member of the crew that adds to a creative capacity. Then you also have to have 3 literary properties you want to adapt, 1 franchise you get to steal from anywhere, where you buy the rights to, and then 1 classic movie that you are going to take into to start building your new movie studio's catalog. So theoretically, you own it. It's now a whatever your studio is called property, and you will most likely be adapting something off of it. Or maybe you're just going to keep it because you're like, I don't want anyone else to fuck with it. I could easily see you making a pick where you're like, I just don't want anyone else to touch it, so I don't fucking care.
That's me.
On top of that, we are also going to we have to name a studio, and we have to have a streaming release strategy as well. I also have some other things in there that I have.
So the way I thought we could decide this is you pick heads or tails. I got the coin flip up already.
All right.
And then you can decide if you want to go first on actors, first choice on actors, or first choice on directors. And then whoever doesn't get first choice gets first choice on the opposite one.
Because the other thing is, I was gonna say I kind of like it the way they did it on Big Picture, where everything's open, pick as you please. But
oh,
because that's a good counter shot where you're like, oh, they took my movie star. Well, I think they might really want this director. I'll take it.
I don't know if I like that though.
Are you a little concerned I might take some of your
Yeah.
stuff, or vice versa?
Here, you just pick heads or tails, and then we'll decide. You get to decide if you want first or second
Well,
choice.
let's go back to my soccer captain days, and we'll take tails at all times.
Okay. We got tails.
Let's go. So what format?
I think mine's more fair.
Sure, it's more fair. It's more
We can
so
do whatever.
Am I even prepared to do it the other way?
We can do whatever. It doesn't
All right.
matter to me.
Regardless, you know what? I kind of like this. Let's do it my way. Not because I want to do it my way, but I think the idea behind it is you kind of get to see how you would operate as a studio head. So you wouldn't inherently just be like, because the thing is, if we just go movie stars, it's just going to be the pissing contest to get what we want, as opposed to, I might say, well, I really want this one thing, but then I'm okay with just letting some other stuff go.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. So you want first choice, I'm assuming?
Yes, I will take the first choice. On top of that, before we do anything, what is your movie studio and why did you name it that studio?
I couldn't think of anything.
Nothing?
Like always, I can never think of titles. I can never think of like big, naming anything. I have troubles with it. So I'm like, because I can never think of anything that I actually want to stick with long enough.
Bald Ginger Productions over there.
Because this is actually something I'm gonna have to do eventually.
I know.
When I actually do want to make a movie. So.
Secretly, this is exactly why I was doing this fucking exercise.
Well, that's the thing is I've been thinking about this for months, and I still can't think of anything I like.
Okay, so I'll give you mine, and then we'll go forward. I went Wisco River Studios. So the story behind that, obviously, one of my favorite places. Not biased, is our home state of Wisconsin, but the Wisconsin River runs through the vast majority of the state. The first time I ever thought about making a movie in any capacity was while we were on a jet boat on the Wisconsin River as kids on a vacation. I remember seeing all the cliffs. It's on the Wisconsin River, specifically near the Wisconsin Dells, which is the water park capital of the world. There are these beautiful, anywhere from 50 to about 60 to 80 foot high cliffs on the Wisconsin River. And the Wisconsin River at that point is at least 60 feet plus deep. And you used to hear all these infamous stories of people jumping off the cliffs. So I always had this idea of like, wouldn't it be cool if in a movie they like jumped off the cliff into the river, or they did something off that there. And there's all these really cool alcoves on the river, one of which is called Witch's Gulch, that always captures my imagination every time. But it's such a beautiful natural landscape that could be really good for like a Hitchcock style chase. I say that because the reason we had to delay shooting today slightly was I started and fell asleep during North by Northwest last night, and I needed to finish North by Northwest. So,
what'd you think?
I liked it a lot. The only thing I will say is it's classic Hitchcock, where the first half is real slow in terms of build, and then it just keeps picking up crazy stuff along the way, which is fun.
The more I watch that movie, the more I like it.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I kind of had that experience because I fell asleep and rewound it multiple times last night because I was doing some scouting for this draft and other things that I was like, I really want to make sure I like this pick. But so we're going to go Wisco River Studios here.
The only thing I've been thinking of is like, what do I want to have as a logo?
Yeah.
And the thing I'm thinking of is I actually think I want to film something practically. and not created on a computer. So I've been thinking like maybe like a feather, dropping down
Sure.
in a wind tunnel or something, because that'd be easy to do.
Sure.
So I'm not sure what I would do though.
I mean,
I don't know what a good name for that would be, but
could main could really be anything you want it to be, but I understand it.
maybe like
We'll brainstorm after the episode on that one.
red feather or something. I don't know.
Sure. Also, you have
Something
two
simple.
impressive live animals in your house that you could easily film and name something after.
I don't know what I would y- use them as though.
I know, but you could have some fun stuff. You want the MGM logo from back in the day with the lion.
Ooh, that'd be great.
You want that. I think you should just post up your camera as the Amazon driver is going up to your front porch to deliver and just film Lupin barking. That's
Yeah.
what I think it should be. Just husky bark. Like Husky Howl Studios or something like that. So we'll get into some streaming strategy and other stuff here. And I even wrote literally a 2-sentence or 3-sentence synopsis of the first movie I would try to make. But
Okay.
I'll take first pick here after winning the toss. I'm going to go to Movie Star. I don't think this will shock you. I will take Glenn Powell immediately off the board
Okay.
as my movie star.
I had him on my list as well.
I even started going into the NFL draft style draft board where I want this over this, but I want this over this. And Glenn Powell was still I want the number one pick. He's my number one priority.
He was definitely going to be one of my higher picks. Now the question is, who do I want to pick that I think you will also want to pick?
I mean, you don't have to. I'm not trying to screw you. I just knew that was competitive. Because if I thought I could have got Glenn Powell in round 10, I would have saved him. The reason Glenn Powell, obviously, he's the only modern style movie star. He's clearly learned the Tom Cruise way of just find good people to work with, highlight what you're good at, and make good movies.
Well, and he clearly has an audience draw.
Yes.
From everyone. Like, doesn't matter what kind of person you are. Like, everyone loves him.
Yeah.
So, doesn't matter age range really either. He's just got that draw to him.
That's the thing is I've had conversations I think you've been around them. I can't remember if you were there at the time because you attended all of our family events that we were in town for this year. And we even had conversations with our older relatives on Av's family side, and they're like, yeah, I saw him in that movie. I liked him in that. And it was like, these are people that are 30 years our senior that were like, oh, I really like Glenn Powell. Who's that guy from that?
He's got the X factor.
He's got it, so I want that.
Okay, I'll just go simple. I'll go Spielberg.
Spielberg's not even on my list.
Okay.
So the reason being is this. I had to think, they brought this up in the big picture. I need to think about the long-term future.
Yes.
Obviously, if I was just trying to make the best 3 movies possible, I would just take Spielberg and I wouldn't care about anything else.
I don't care if he lives for 5 more years, I'd still pick him.
That's the thing. I thought about the risk-reward of just taking Spielberg and maybe getting 1 movie and just being like, we can still say we got Spielberg movie under our belt. Because greatest director of all time, greatest living director. It's a no-brainer, right?
Yep.
Plus, I love the idea of having tournament winner director Steven Spielberg in our wheelhouse. That would be the dream. But I'll take Steven Spielberg on that one. Or you'll take Steven Spielberg. I think that's a great choice. It's just how much. He's got a lot in production, too. Like, if you go to his IMDb, he's got, 4 movies under production.
Yeah, well, he's constantly busy.
Well, now also, he produces a ton of stuff as well, and he's an active producer. He's not one of those producers that, just slap my name on it and it'll be fine. He actively does try with everybody, so...
Even though a lot of people are upset with his choice when it comes to Twisters. Where he said to cut the kiss at the end. That's like the common complaint I always hear about that movie. It's like, where's the kiss?
It is funny because the first time I saw it, I was like, Nothing really, but I was like, you know what? I think it works. I agree with Steven
I
on this one.
the funny thing is, I actually think it works in the benefit of the movie because it gets more people talking.
I agree with that as well, but I also think it's far more of they're going to be together. You know they
Yeah,
are.
that's fair. And you can also just look up the kiss online because
Yeah,
they leaked the footage, so it's like, eh.
yeah, exactly. It'll be fine. But Spielberg's a great choice here. We should say we're going to explain every choice a little bit here. I'm going to go director as my next choice. I'm going to take Jordan Peele.
Okay, he was also on my short list.
So Jordan Peele, also this is the one I didn't want to reveal, which is why I didn't say the names of these movies. Last night I also watched Nope and Us for the first time. I know both those movies' plots, which is why I've never seen them before.
I have not seen Nope.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good, actually.
What do you think of Us? I like that movie a lot.
So the thing is this, I think I've said this on the show before. I learned about Us's plot very quickly after the movie came out and
Oh
the
yeah, that's
twist.
right.
And so I generally avoided it, not because I thought it was going to be bad, but I was just like, well, I know the twist. Who really cares? It's kind of like
Hmm.
when you know the twist of The Sixth Sense, you don't need to watch The Sixth Sense because the whole
Hmm.
movie is the twist. In watching Us, I will say I think that movie works even if you know the twist. Because it's not, the twist is just the very last thing you figure out. But the vast majority of that
True.
movie, it's just the terror of, you know, essentially your clone but someone invading your home and endangering your family. That's what
Yeah.
it's really about. And the
Home
paranoia
invasion movies.
created. That was the thing. It was like I was watching Nope, and Nope has some good stuff, some great imagery. Don't get me wrong, but Nope is far more of a science fiction movie with little horror elements to it.
Hmm.
Us is a straight horror movie
Yeah.
that devolves into somewhat of an action horror movie to a degree.
Towards the end a little bit, yeah.
But I was still getting the willies just sitting there by myself last night watching
Yeah.
Us.
When I
And I
first
think it
watched
works
it,
really
it
well.
scared me. Yeah.
And I just think Jordan Peele, beyond getting a director, you get someone who's a writer and producer who knows it. The thing is this, just watching Get Out and knowing the reviews for those two movies, I had him as my number one pick as a director. I was like, whatever Jordan Peele does, I want to be in that business.
That's fair.
But having watched those two even more, I'm like, he works so well with people. He gets ideas, and I will say, there's parts of Nope. It's a little too much after the action scene draft, but he's got a little Spielberg to him where he maps it out and makes you understand the terrain and what you're doing so well that you're like,
Well,
it's clear.
Spielberg said, "Who's the director that excites you the most of the young and up and coming ones?" And he said Jordan Peele. So makes sense.
Makes
So for all my actor picks, the all of them have the same exact reasoning behind them, which are up and coming, but also extremely versatile. Like they
Okay,
can be in any kind of thing.
sure.
So I think for my first one, I'm gonna go with. I think I'll go Andrew Garfield.
Okay, not even on my list, so I'm fine with that. That's cool. That's
Okay,
cool. I have a
because
list. The
I
actors
think
is the only one that I have a super deep list on.
he's proven to me over and over again he can do anything.
I will say he was really smart by taking Spider-Man, but also the second he took Spider-Man, he started working with a bunch of different directors and doing really different stuff. Working with Mel Gibson, working with Martin Scorsese, or
Yeah,
working with a lot of different people to give that versatile play. That's a really smart pick. I like that pick.
yeah.
Again, the versatility there is great. I also went for my general rule was not to be ageist, but I almost everybody in my actor list is under the age of 40. There's one exception. Simply because I'm looking at the long haul. There are obviously big stars I'd love to work with,
Most mine are too.
but I want to make sure I have these, you know, there's just those stars like Clint Eastwood was a Warner Brothers star for a long time where they were just like,
Hmm.
no, Clint's our guy. He makes Warner Brothers movies. You
Yeah,
know,
until they fucked him over
exactly. Like,
with his last movie,
I mean, that's how it goes,
which is
unfortunately.
funny.
Well, I mean, they did the same thing with Christopher Nolan and Tenet, where Christopher Nolan was a Warner Brothers director. He
Yeah,
only
that's
worked
true.
with Warner Brothers. And then they had the disagreement over Tenet, and he's like, all right, fuck it. I'll just go make my next movie somewhere else.
Yeah.
Bad business practices, man. Just because I said it, I didn't even think of Nolan. I'm taking Christopher Nolan as my next pick.
Okay, that's fair.
I I want to be in
I
the
knew you
Nolan
were gonna.
business.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna pick him, so I didn't even put him on my list.
So here I knew. So the funny part is this: I've combed over my list 1,000 times. The chicken scratch right here is Christopher Nolan. I forgot to even put him on my list because I was just like, who's young? Who do I want?
Yeah.
Who's young enough? Like my directors aren't under the age of 40. That wasn't a rule, but I really wanted to stick under like 50-ish.
Yeah.
It's like I want a good run.
Christopher Nolan definitely has 30 good years left in him still.
Right.
If I think that's on the short end.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll go with as my next pick. I think I'm gonna go with. I'm really torn here between three people. I'll go Emma Stone.
Wasn't even on my list. That was another one I didn't think about. Okay.
Two-time Oscar winner, but also can do literally anything. She can be in great comedies.
She's so charming. She's so goddamn
She's
charming.
also a great producer now.
Yeah,
So,
she's learning. That's the thing. I'm glad you have the same mindset that I had, which was not only do you think of just the one thing that they do, you got to think of all the stuff they do. Like the same thing with Peel. I said where I was like, I get a writer and a producer too. I don't just get
mhm.
a director. Nolan, same deal. Emma Stone's a perfect example. She doesn't just act anymore. She picks really smart projects to produce, and she knows what she's doing. And the fact that her range goes from anything from super bad to poor things and everything in between is absurd.
Yeah. I mean, she's I don't know how old she is, probably 35 maybe.
Yeah, she's not much older than.
Yeah, and she has 2 Oscars already. That's insane.
You think she's gonna go the Meryl Streep route eventually, where it's just Emma worked, so Emma is nominated?
If she continues to do what she's doing, yes.
Wouldn't shock me. So I do want to get in the actress race here. My next, I'll take a movie star. I'm gonna go Florence Pugh. I love Florence
Okay.
Pugh.
Not on my list. I thought about it, but there was a couple I had before her.
Here's the biggest thing: Florence Pugh has, again, like Emma Stone, this versatility where she can do anything, but on top of that, she's so goddamn charming, and she just takes up whatever scene she's in. She is the star of. Like even in
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, where Cillian Murphy's acting his ass off, when Florence Pugh is on screen, Florence is the star. Where I just go, holy fuck, this woman's so good. Black Widow,
hmm
the thing that makes that movie fun is Florence Pugh. Most of that movie I don't consider very fun. When she's on
I
screen,
consider it shit.
when Florence Pugh's on screen, it's really fun. I really like Florence Pugh, and also she's 29. That's
Oh,
just
wow. I didn't realize she was that young.
yeah, just I'll put her in as much as possible and just let her cook. It's the whole
Hmm.
point.
Huh. I thought she was older than me,
Yeah.
but yeah, younger, I guess. Okay, I'm going to go. I don't think you're going to pick my director choices. So I'm going to go another movie star. And I'm going to go with Anya Taylor Joy.
Another crazy, didn't even put on my list, and that's someone I love. That's that's a
Again,
great pick.
yeah, she can do any genre.
Young, versatile, charming, want to watch her. Yeah, that's smart.
She's shown from like I don't know how old she is in The Witch. Probably like 17. She's pretty young in that.
Yeah, I think she's
That she's
probably 18 because she had to do the nude stuff at the end. So she's probably just
well,
barely 18.
technically speaking, if her parents are on set, technically she can do it, I think.
I know, but I don't think that's something a studio would have
Yeah, probably not.
approved, you know?
Um so yeah, but she's showing like how incredible she is from such a young age.
Oh yeah. It was the same thing I went with Florence Pugh. I was like, I'm getting someone who from a young age has shown she's just electric. And you can watch The Witch and immediately go, God damn, there's something special about her. And then you can see her in another movie completely differently. Or another like
Furiosa.
Furiosa. She's electric in Furiosa. She is the reason to watch that movie. And even something like I shit on them all the time. We talked about them a little bit in our last episode. Netflix originals, I kind of just generally think are shit. The Queen's Gambit with Anya Taylor-Joy is not shit. That's a great series, and it's because of Anya Taylor-Joy.
I've heard that's a really good show. I don't watch TV shows, so I wouldn't
I'm
know.
generally not a TV watcher either, but that intrigued me. I really like on. I was just like, there's something about this girl that I want to watch. So I completely respect that choice. I only have one director left here, but I will say this was one that I thought was kind of important to me because I want to be in their business. I'm going to go Greta Gerwig for my director here.
Okay.
So again, for scouting purposes, I watched Lady Bird for the first time this week.
Okay.
Absolutely loved it with your girl, Saoirse Ronan. And it was also fun watching someone who grew up not believing in Catholicism, but being part of the Catholic guilt life, watching Lady Bird, who also has a complex relationship with her mother. Watching Lady Bird, I was like, oh wow, clearly, like, it was interesting because I'm feeling the impact of the movie, but I'm also seeing the exact target of the character going through the entire experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, she makes people feel something. I love Barbie. I think Barbie's the exact way you should have to do a blockbuster now, where Barbie says something as well, but it's clearly a fun blockbuster movie people want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for her Narnia interpretation as well. I want to be in the Greta Gerwig business. She's a phenomenal writer, and she's a tremendous
I was
director.
going to say, I did not have her down as a director, but I did have her down as a writer. So
again, I also get a writer and a producer then as well. So, and the other thing is, she's an actor, but she doesn't. It's not like she's obviously more known as a director. I'm not concerned about her as an actor. What I like though is it allows her to get that extra little level to work with actors because she's been on that level. That's what I like.
I was going to say, I don't think she's going to act anymore.
No.
That seems to be something she did when it was very low budget and she was forced to. But that does completely help. Like, coming from an acting background, you know what to tell your actors.
Yeah.
So you got all three of your directors?
All three of my directors are off.
Okay, nice. So I don't have to worry about those.
Yeah, I did you a favor because all three of mine. Christopher Nolan was just I opened my mouth and I went, oh shit, I don't have him on my list. If I don't do it, I'm not getting Nolan. So
there's two more people that I really want to pick on my actors. I don't know if either of them are going to be on your list. I'll go Zendaya.
Wasn't on my list. I'm not. I just watched half of Challengers the other day. She's very good in it. I don't want to disparage her. There's just something about after watching her in Euphoria.
Euphoria is one of the shows that I have seen.
Like,
and she's amazing in it.
Oh, she's amazing in it. I just don't know what it is. I'm just like, she's not exactly my cup of tea. I can tell how good she is, and I know how good she is, but she's not like my cup of tea.
See, I would, and that's the thing about if I was running a studio, I would be pushing her towards those kind of projects more, like the Challengers, Euphoria kind of stuff, and away from like, Marvel stuff.
Oh, of course.
Because I wouldn't be making those types of movies.
I would have been making a few of those movies. I'll talk about that in the strategy later, but I think Zendaya is a great choice. Obviously, the other thing is you have picked a lot of people that are really popular in the moment that come with a ton of cachet in the moment and have the ability to grow, which I think is really smart. Mine are similar, but I think Florence Pugh is not exactly the girl of the moment. I think Emma and Anya Taylor-Joy are a little bit more of the moment, this exact moment, than Florence is, but still tremendous.
Hmm.
This is one I really wanted, so I'm just gonna take it. So, how many actors have you taken? You've taken 4 actors already, right?
Or
Yeah, because you took Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, Anya Taylor-Joy, and that was your last one was
Zendaya.
Zendaya. This one was really important to me. This was even before I did my research. I want Daniel Kaluuya, just a phenomenal
He,
actor.
I that was going to be my next pick, literally,
I was sensing that was your next pick, and I just
because it was between that and Zendaya. I was like, I don't know which one's going to be on your list, and I thought you would go a little bit younger, so that's why I picked Zendaya.
so I,
But
I'm glad. I'm glad. The other thing is, it's good if we have a little bit of the thief mentality here
mhm.
for the show. But beyond that, I just Daniel Kaluuya is an electric performer. The eyes on that performer.
Oscar winner,
I mean,
multiple
Oscar-winning
time
performer.
nominee.
The thing is I love his performance in Get Out, but also now going back, his performance in Sicario is great. His performance in Black
True.
Panther is one of the most nuanced in all of the movie. He does great in that movie. I have Queen and Slim on the stack from the library to watch eventually in the next couple of days. Like, I'm excited to watch more Daniel Kaluuya, but I loved his performance in Get Out because it's just such a understated, where he's not this big over the top acting performance, and he's got this softer gruff voice throughout, but there's just something intriguing where you want to root for the guy, and
To
I
me,
love that.
he does feel a little bit more like old Hollywood, where he seems like he's classically trained,
Yes.
because he's very. It's hard to explain. He almost seems like a Shakespearean trained actor, like on stage,
A little bit,
c-
because his
because
movements really intrigue you.
he really transforms. Because like when you see him talk as himself, it's completely different to all his characters.
Absolutely. And that's the thing
Um,
is I've seen in the last couple months, I've seen so many random performances where it's like, he's in this? And just been
mhm,
floored every time. Where I'm like, God damn, this guy's so good.
yeah,
And it's just, I think also I then get the muse for Jordan Peele to play with forever.
sure.
Where I can just be like, you guys just want to keep making movies together? Okay.
Hey, it's a good strategy.
So I'll take
Uh,
as my third movie star.
I am gonna pick as my last actor. Really torn here. I got three actresses and only one actor, so I guess I'll go a guy. I'll go Ryan Gosling.
He was on
Popular
my.
popular choice. Everyone loves him.
I mean, the thing is, I think you get a lot of flexibility with Ryan Gosling, where you can go do an action movie with him, but you also can do this very auteur, like
Yeah, no,
Oscar
he's definitely
style.
shown he can do a lot more than just be like the pretty face.
Sure.
Because like no, around the Notebook, that's that seemingly was all he was gonna be. Is kind of like fall into the what Matthew McConaughey kind of fell into for a while, which was just the rom-com guy.
Yeah.
So I could see Ryan Gosling falling into that, but he did a really good job of staying pretty indie actually for a long time.
Long time. Well, it hindered him for a long time because it was like that. It was ironic because he didn't fall into the Notebook trap, but that was the only big notable thing he had done
Well, he got
for a
like
lot of
Os-
people.
he got Oscar nominations for Half Nelson. Trying to think of other movies. He did Lars and the Real Girl, which is a really weird movie, but I really like.
Yeah.
And then he did like smaller movies that weren't amazing, but there were at least interesting choices.
Sure.
And then now he's in Barbie and like huge crowd pleasing movies.
Well, also he's done stuff like Blade Runner 2049, so
Mhm.
you have this ability where he can go do big stuff, but then he can go and do smaller indie work, or he can do the Oscar level, kind of things, and still be this
Also,
electric performer.
I think if I were to team Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone up for a rom-com, like a little crazy stupid love reunion, I think that would sell big.
La La Land reunion, yeah.
Oh yeah, La La Land too, but actually make it good
Well, also it wouldn't suck that
and not a musical,
it wouldn't suck if you could do.
because La La Land is not a rom-com
I
at
don't know
all.
why I would help you with this in the draft, but it's more so what I would want to see. Do it in action comedy with fucking Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, directed by fucking Steven Spielberg. Go into the wheelhouse and do it. Like you have the best director of all time, and you have one of the best pairings of modern movies of all time, of two people who clearly have electricity and chemistry together. Like,
How many actors have you picked?
I've picked three.
Okay, once you have all five of yours, let's read our short list that we didn't pick.
Okay, so I am now going to use my wild card pick. I'm
Okay.
intentionally picking my wild card because I know you can't
My
take a movie star.
Also, my wild card, you were never gonna pick.
Fair enough. It's just so I can get into. This is my one. This is kind of like your Spielberg pick. I refuse to not have this in terms of my studio's quality. I'll be taking actor slash producer Tom Cruise as my wild card pick.
Good choice.
I mean, I need something bankable. Like, that's the biggest thing when you're thinking about studios and stuff. And you want to understand studio heads. They need to make money.
Hmm.
It's that simple. It'd be nice because in this make believe world that we're playing in, we could just be billionaires and have no problems and whatever. But we still need to make money. And
Hmm.
why wouldn't I get Tom Cruise to just make
Yeah.
money with it?
Well, not only that, Tom Cruise does have a lot of power as a producer.
Yes.
So,
What I also love is in talking about, both you and I have really emphasized the importance of youth because of the longevity of our business. You got to give Tom Cruise this credit a lot. He does tend to try to find young people to work with, not necessarily like teens, but finding those younger stars that he can put into things to
mhm.
help with. And then obviously Top Gun Maverick is the perfect showing of that, where it's
Yeah.
Glenn Powell, Oscar nominee Monica Barbaro, like, Danny
Miles
Ramirez,
Teller.
yeah, Miles Teller, Jay Ellis, like all, and then Lewis Pullman also, who's now part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, all six of them are not household names, but they're all people that have potential to be household names.
Hmm.
It's logical. So I'll take Tom.
Okay. I'll pick my two directors next, I guess. I got six down here as a short list. I'll go Denis Villeneuve first.
All right, you took Danny. Okay, that's fine. Danny was not on
I
my list. Too old.
I would have. He's not old at
I
all.
know I'm playing.
He might be like mid 40s, I would guess.
I know I'm playing. It's just
At least,
most of his movies aren't my cup of tea. That's why.
see, the thing is, I would probably try to get him away from the Dune type stuff
Yeah.
because those take so long to make. And I try to get him back to like the stuff that he did a little bit earlier, like Enemy, which I really love. Ooh, actually, shit. I forgot an actor I should have picked. Let me put him in the short list real quick.
Here, do you want to do this because there's so many actors you want to work with? We originally said 5 to 7 in our pre-production meetings. Do you want to go up to 7?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. You clearly want to talk about actors, so let's
But
let's do that.
like Enemy and Sicario, those are the stuff I really love him doing. Also, Arrival is like one of the best sci-fi movies of the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Those are stuff I really like to see him do. Obviously, Dune and Dune 2 are like great sci-fi movies.
They're great spectacles as well. Yes.
Yeah, but again, those are not the type of movies that I really love nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So I want him to do more of his older stuff.
Fair enough. And you're the studio head, so you can poke and prod him that way.
Yeah.
He's not, but he's now also just punched the ticket to I'm Denis Villeneuve. I can make whatever I want.
I was gonna say, if he wants to do something, I'd be like, sure, let's do that.
Let's write the check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only because I was not going to go actors again, but because I've now given you your license to get up to 7 actors, I'll take just another one to make sure I'm happy with. The question is, who am I going to take? It's between 2 actresses for me. I'm going to play in my wheelhouse of what part of my strategy is going to be for my studio, and I'm going to take Ana de Armas as one of my actresses.
Good choice.
She is, when she comes on screen on No Time to Die, you immediately, your eyes are just like, what is this thing? I want to watch anything this woman does because she's just electric in what she's doing. So I'm going to take Ana de Armas. I just think also she's a great choice if you're going to try to branch out. If you're going to do the thing of the content farming that everyone's doing now.
Not my strategy.
No, it would not be my strategy either. There's a few things I would do to make sure my franchises are bankable or my movie studio's bankable. Like, it's not as if I don't want to play with IP or I don't want to play with content, but I don't want to do the, hey, Netflix reached out to us. They want to make a series about the world that we created in our movies. They'd be like, not interested. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to do those kinds of things, Ana de Armas is perfect as in making, okay, we need to get away from Keanu for John Wick, but we want to keep the world of John Wick kind of going. She's a perfect choice. She's a great physical actress who has some range to her, but there's just an electric quality about her that you want to pay attention.
Hey, so, Oscar nominee as well.
Yeah, so.
For a pretty crap movie. So, as my final... Oh, no, you have your director, so I'll pick an actor again. I'll pick the one I just...
You're so concerned that I'm going to take your actors, which I don't think is going to happen, but...
I'll pick the one that I just remembered and wrote down, which is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Wasn't ever on my board, wasn't ever going to be...
Easily one of my favorite actors.
Yes, he is. I know
he is. Also, I think he's, so underrated.
Yes.
Because he really can do... most genres. I wouldn't say he can do action all that well. Prince of Persia, not great. Source Code, not great. But are those his fault? I wouldn't say that's his fault.
I don't think Prince of Persia is his fault. You know, that's a big Disney spectacle when Disney was just trying anything to be, a spectacle. That's also John Carter of Mars territory where they were just losing money hand over fist.
Yeah. Yeah, but Jake Gyllenhaal, if you keep him in that wheelhouse of his where it's like good thriller popcorn movies.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah. I love how you just took another pick simply because you were afraid I would take it. There's no way Jake Gyllenhaal was even on my board.
Well, I don't know.
Ryan Gosling was a pick that you took that I was like, he was late on my board. Where if a lot of the young people I've really wanted were gone, I'd be like, well, I'm just going to take Ryan Gosling because I know I'm going to get some quality. I'm going to go with screenwriter here. I'm going to move away. And I want some clarification. I think this is totally fine, and I'd be fine if you did it as well. But because I'm doing it first, I want to be sure. Would you say a writing duo counts as one slot?
Yep.
I would too. I'm going to take the Daniels. I'm going to take Daniel Kwan and Daniel Schneider. For most importantly, anyone who knows them would only know them for this. They wrote Everything Everywhere All at Once. I want to be in their business. I don't care what they want to make. I want to see what they're going to do. And screenwriters, very few screenwriters, especially now, have a golden track record. There's a lot of hits or misses because of the studio system. Yeah. So I'm willing to just roll the dice on them because I want this great high concept thing from them, or I want what they're going to write. So I'll take it.
The only thing I'd say about them is if we were sticking to the rules, if you're only using them as screenwriters and not directors/screenwriters, I don't know if other people could direct their material as well as they can.
So that's the other thing is you can, as we said, it's not as if Jordan Peele can only be a director. you know.
Yeah.
So I have them in the wheelhouse. Because the other thing is this: you would theoretically have enough movies in production that you couldn't just work with the people you drafted. You'd have to get more people, you
Hmm.
know. So, or even acting. It's not like we can choose every actor we've ever wanted ever, right?
Yeah.
So they could theoretically direct, but I'm more interested in the I want your writing. I want to see what you can
Yeah.
do.
They have really good original ideas, and somehow they pull them off.
Yeah,
Because I would say actually everything everywhere is probably their most mainstream idea, and
which
that's
is
still
which is
pretty
wild.
weird.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
wild concept.
Like Swiss Army Man is way weirder, where
Yeah,
it's just a corpse, like a corpse doing random ass shit.
yep.
Daniel Daniel Radcliffe being a corpse the whole time. It's weird as fuck, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I'll pick my last actor. I mean, if we're going up to 7, now I gotta pick him. Dev Patel.
Dev Patel was on my list, but I thought Dev Patel might be your number one pick. So.
No, I knew he wasn't gonna be one of your picks, so I was like, he'll be safe.
He was on my list, but it had to be I'm getting down on my actors, and he
Mm,
keeps picking my. So I'll take that. It's a good pick. Obviously, he's your boy, and he can do directing too now. He can do
yeah,
producing, writing. Like, it's a good pick here. Do you want to gush about your boy Dev Patel for 10 more
no,
seconds?
I mean he's fantastic.
Is he your
It- it-
favorite actor? You do really love Dev Patel.
he's one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's my favorite. Working today, he's one of my favorite. Like, if I was to make a list of top 10 of all time, he wouldn't be on that list.
Okay.
But he's definitely one of my favorite
Is
working
there
today.
even a working actor right now that would be on your top 10 list? Could Jake Gyllenhaal or Ryan Gosling be on that list? Because I know you love both of them deeply.
Probably not. Maybe Harrison Ford, but he doesn't really work all that much anymore.
Actually, he's working a lot right now because he's doing the Apple TV series and he's still
Oh yeah,
doing
that's true. He
movies. Like,
does. I forgot he does that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, he's just decided, I don't know, fuck it, I'm gonna work some more
Hmm.
in his very gruff Harrison Ford way, which is
Yeah.
okay. I don't think you're gonna take my screenwriters. Directors are done.
Oh,
For
for reference, I had Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach as my screenwriting duo.
yeah,
So
and I don't think you're gonna take Noah Baumbach by himself.
not alone.
Yeah.
No.
So that's why I Greta Gerwig was more. I want that direct. The other thing is this is here's something we're gonna take. Not it's not a pause, but something to think about. When you're a studio head, you don't just get to play in the I'm only going for this audience. You have to appeal to everybody as much as possible to get big returns. I want the strongest female voice as a director right now in Greta Gerwig. Like it's just she knows how to speak to that audience. And if I'm gonna ignore
Yeah. There's
half
not
an
many to
audience,
choose from either.
exactly, that's the other problem is there's not many to choose from. So I'm going to take someone that not only do I really like their work and think it, but her work speaks to me as well. So it's not as if she only speaks to women, right? But she's young, has clearly 30 plus more years of directing in her as long as things go well for her. Like, fuck it. And that's why I think it's interesting we both prioritized actresses as well. We didn't just go, yeah, want some actors here.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'll take another actor here. Questions: who do I want? Do I go really young or do I take who I think is pound for pound the best actor I would get? I'll just go for the best here. My fifth actor slash actress, I'll be taking Lupita Nyong'o.
On my short list.
She's so goddamn good.
Yep.
And this wasn't a post us either. This was a you know, she might legitimately be the best working actress today. She just doesn't work that often.
I was gonna say she in terms of like talent level, I'd completely agree. It is just the fact of she actually just doesn't work that often,
And the
which
other
is
thing
a
is,
shame.
oh yeah, but I get her as a muse for Jordan Peele. I get her for a muse to. I'd love to see what she could do with Christopher Nolan. That'd be fun. or
Yeah.
with Greta Gerwig. I think all three are good pairings to where, hey, what if I handed this really talented director, who all have their own voices, what if I handed them one of the best actors of a generation? Here are your toys to play with, you know?
Okay. As my last director, I'll go. Ooh, I'm really torn between two of them. I'll go David Fincher.
I figured Fincher might be on your list.
So just for reference, what was the rest of your short list of
So
directors?
the thing is this is I was thinking of what are the movies I want to make. Part of my strategy, and so I'll go into more of what I was doing, but who are directors that are going to fit the kind of projects that I want, not necessarily who are my favorite directors right now. James Wan was on my list. Ryan Coogler's on my list. David Litch is on my list. I really like his projects, and I think he just makes really fun movies that are popcorn
Hmm.
fun. And the one that I thought would be really interesting, but I don't think is big money, is Robert Eggers. And I thought you might be interested as well.
He's on my short list. So one of them I'm gonna pick as a screenwriting duo, so I'm not gonna say them yet.
Okay.
But the other ones I had down were Ari Aster, great horror director, Robert Eggers. Again, if I think of like meticulous directors,
Robert
it's
Eggers.
it's Robert Eggers and David Fincher.
Yeah.
They're like, and David Fincher is meticulous in.
A problematic way to a degree.
No, Fincher is very meticulous in production, whereas Robert Eggers is very meticulous in pre-production, where he's doing so much research to get things right.
Yeah.
Because he's also a screenwriter, and like how period accurate his movies are is incredible. And then my other two, I also had Jordan Peele, and then my other two were James Gunn and Wes Anderson.
I have Wes in a different category, but yeah. I
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yep.
I, I would like to be in the Wes Anderson business as well. I just
Hmm.
don't know if Wes Anderson's gonna make me enough money. Like that's my
Oh,
biggest concern.
I don't care about that.
I need to at least look at this. If when I play games like this, I need to put myself in the spot of success.
I think his movies are profitable enough
Yeah.
to where you go,
I mean,
okay,
he's one of my favorite directors. I adore him, and I think they're profitable.
well, you just look at it and go, okay, Wes Anderson, usually one of his movies is either nominated for Best Picture or wins an Oscar.
Yeah.
Usually like one of every other movie he does
Yeah.
is like that. So it's like that's longevity to me.
Yeah, so you're kind of making the argument for my pick.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
I just don't know. Now, because there's someone on my list that I think is really strong for what I want to achieve, but there's no way you'd take them. So I think
Hmm.
it's fine. Yeah, as a screenwriter, I'm going to take Wes Anderson
That's fair.
as my 10th pick, or my
So
11th pick.
we're also saying their screenwriters can also direct.
Yes, but you're taking them for the right, like, that's why they're prioritizing them,
Okay.
but you get the bonus. It's like
That does change my thoughts though.
you're getting Pablo Sanchez, who could do anything in the backyard sports games. You know,
Uh-huh.
he's not Pete Wheeler, where all he can do is run fast. You know,
Yeah.
Pablo's the best all around player, so you could put Pablo at anything, right?
Yep.
So as you were saying, the only thing I would say about Wes Anderson that as a studio head, I'm not trying to change. I'm not trying to change Wes Anderson. The one thing I would do is throw a little bit more money at him and get him closer to Royal Tenenbaum's Darjeeling Limited, and not, and even Moonrise Kingdom to a degree, where like Asteroid City in particular, his last production. I really like
Hmm.
Asteroid City, but it feels like in comparison to other movies he's made, it really feels like we're doing the Wes Anderson, we're shooting this in a shoebox. Where when you
That was
watch,
also I think it was a COVID movie though.
yes, I understand that, but it's also, but Grand Budapest has a hair of that. Like, there's a trajectory that he goes with from Moonrise Kingdom on where it starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller. In my opinion,
So
watching it. Where
for reference,
I want to get him closer to Royal Tenenbaums where he can play in the city a little bit, can do some more stuff, and bring a little bit more life to it, but still have that magic touch that he has.
yeah, for reference, I just looked up Wes Anderson budget, and on Google it says Royal Tenenbaums 28 million budget,
Yeah.
Fantastic Mr. Fox 40 million, Moonrise Kingdom 16, Asteroid City 25, The French Dispatch 25, and Grand Budapest 25. So he's hovering right around 25 most of the time.
Which also, that's a magic number for a studio head that I would love.
Yeah, I would put him right in that range, like 25 to 30. I'd be like, Wes, you can make as many movies as you want.
The only thing
I don't care.
The only thing I would tell him is just from the stories of the actors is because they all love working with him. Is I would just be like, here's an extra $5 million. Go pay your friends. Like, pay your friends.
I would say, space out those stars a little bit. Like Asteroid City has so many big names in it that it's a little bit like, oh, it's not worth it. Like if he had saved some of them for a different movie.
I think that's part of the appeal, though. At this point, is it's who's going to show up, who's in the club now, because he always adds a few extra people, but it's who's in the club now. Like, I remember the preview for Asteroid City, and it was Jeffrey Wright. I was like, "Yo, Jeffrey Wright's in the club now? Fuck yeah, this is awesome!" Like, speaking of the French Dispatch, it's on my list of things to watch this weekend. It's sitting on my library stack.
I've not seen that one actually.
One of my goals for through April is to finish the Wes Anderson catalog, so I need to watch French Dispatch, both animated films, so Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And then I need to watch Bottle Rocket. I've never watched Bottle Rocket.
Those are on my voodoo if you want. Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Perfect. Thank you. But yeah, it's just the only thing I would say is I want to give you a little bit more of a budget so you can have a little bit bigger of a playground and also pay your friends. like Edward Norton? He's like, I lose money working with Wes. It's just so much fun, and it leads to great stuff later that I do it, but I lose money working with Wes Anderson.
Hey, they keep coming back.
And yeah, it's almost like he's the Paul Heyman, where it's just like he's the Pied Piper, where everyone's like, yeah, but he's awesome. Like it literally reminds me of wrestling's Paul Heyman ECW days, where they're like, doesn't he owe you like thousands of dollars and he never pays you? I mean, yeah, but like it's Paul Lee. We love Paul Lee, and he lies, but it's fine. It's Paul Lee. Like, I don't think Wes Anderson's a liar. I don't want to compare them character wise there, but there's a little bit of that like Pied Piper. I want to work with this guy, so I don't care.
So you picked both your screenwriters?
I took both my screenwriters.
Okay, great. Because I'll pick those next. First, I'm going Coen Brothers. Gotta be.
I was shocked at how old they are. That was the reason I stayed away from them.
Oh, I mean, yeah. They're probably like, what, early 60s, be my guess?
No, Joel is 70. One of them is 70, yeah.
Let me look up this.
Joel or Ethan is 70, because I looked it up because I had them in my director category. Because I watched I watched The Big Lebowski for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, the range these guys have is crazy.
70 and 67.
Yeah, so that was my concern. Where my writers, I didn't care. Writers can churn out a project every year, and you can still get good range from them. But
one of the things I really like about them is they also write material not for themselves.
Sure.
Like, they will make screenplays just for other people. So that's also a positive. Yeah. Whereas, like, a lot of people that write screenplays,
will only do
it doesn't work. Yeah, like Wes Anderson, I don't think most people could direct his screenplays as well as he does.
Ironically enough, I think I have one of the only people I would have faith in to do that. But yes, I think that's a Greta Gerwig specialty. But that's it.
I don't think it would come off nearly as well.
I don't think anybody would come off nearly as well. But if you said I'm forced to make that project, I'd be like, I think Greta could do. I think Greta could do this.
Yeah,
like,
you're forced.
I'm not going to give that project to Jordan Peele, but I think Greta could achieve with some of the direct themes that they play with all the time.
I would love to see like Ari Aster direct a Wes Anderson script.
Well, that's
Be
the other thing.
fucking
I
bonkers.
would love to see Wes Anderson write for somebody else. I think that'd be such an interesting concept, and just see, because the thing is this: writing a script is not producing a movie. Writing a script is making the way to a movie. So if you read it and you're like, this is too Wes, only Wes could do this, then you say, okay, Wes, we're gonna go with you on this project.
Hmm.
But if you make something that you're like, no, there's the quirkiness that makes it really fun and popular, but it's not only Wes could do this, that'd be really interesting to watch.
So what are you at? 5 actors now or 6?
Yeah, I have 5 actors. I've got 11 picks. How
Okay.
many picks have you made? 11, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
All right, let's take. I've got all my screenwriters. I've got my directors. I've got my wild card. I don't think. I'm assuming we're not going to have any bleed on the franchises or literary properties. I
I
find
guess not.
probably not. So let's just finish out the actors and other categories of people. Again, I'm trying to appeal to as many people as possible, but I had an idea that I absolutely adore. So I kind of want to achieve. I kind of want to achieve that idea. I had this previous to watching Us. I love the guy, and I think he has some leading man capability. I'm gonna take Winston Duke here as an actor.
You have an interesting choice. Yeah. I have one on my list that's like a really oddball choice like that.
I've liked him in everything I've ever seen him in. I like him in The Fall Guy, but I like him in Black Panther, but I like him in Us. I like him in other stuff I've seen.
I don't think he's ever going to be a leading man.
I have a plan
That's the
for
one
that.
thing.
I have a plan for
Okay.
that. That's
Okay.
why. But otherwise, yes, I agree with you. But
No, he is great in everything. Yeah.
he's more so. I like him. If he doesn't turn out to be a leading man, he's just going to be fun in everything for the next 30 years, so I don't care.
Hmm.
But he also strikes me as one of those actors who might finally get like a small role, but he gets to actually act. And out of nowhere gets like an Oscar nomination because you're like, I didn't see that one coming. Like
There's plenty of people like that.
yeah, like that's who he kind of strikes me as. But I have a plan to try to make him a leading man. So
Hmm.
I'm rethinking a strategy on the fly because I fell in love with an idea I had like 3 days ago.
Okay. Okay. For my second screenwriter, I'll do Tarantino.
I avoided the bigger names for screenwriters because
Yeah.
they're directors to me. They're not
No,
screenwriters.
when I had a bunch of names down that are purely just screenwriters,
Yeah.
but then when you said, "Oh, but they can also direct," I was like, "Okay, well, I'll change it
Yeah.
then." Because Tarantino's another one where his movies actually do kind of feel like event movies,
Oh yeah, they're definitely event movies.
purely because his name, and that's it.
I think I think in this draft all four people that have legitimate credence to say they make event movies have been drafted. Spielberg is every time Spielberg makes a
Yeah.
movie, it's an event. Every time Nolan is the event guy now.
Hmm.
Jordan Peele has become that, where it's an event if Jordan Peele makes a movie, and then Tarantino's the same deal, where Tarantino's like, oh,
I think I think it will all come down to what Jordan Peele's next movie is, because Nope was lukewarm in terms of reception.
yes, but it was an event, so that's why I'm like, I think it'll
Yeah.
be fine. I think his name carries enough to where you can get events
Yeah.
out of it.
No, COVID also didn't help that movie either, so.
Right.
Okay.
I think Tarantino, oddly enough, is I just think it's the opposite spectrum of Wes Anderson, but they're both on the. I'm not sure anyone else could direct Tarantino as a
Oh,
screenwriter.
I wouldn't have him writing for anyone but himself.
The other thing though is he says he wants to retire after his 10th movie.
Oh no. He'll be making them.
I like how this is the one time you're turning into stereotypical studio. Oh no, he's gonna make these movies.
No, I'd just talk to him frankly. I mean, obviously if he doesn't want to make them, he doesn't have to.
I think there's two franchises you could draft that you could get him out of retirement real quick.
No, I'm not putting in franchises. No franchises for any of these directors.
I
I
know, but
want them making original movies.
I know that. I'm just saying that if you had to actually play with the real world possibility that Tarantino is legitimately going to retire after 10 movies,
Hmm.
I think there are two franchises you could draft where he'd go, maybe I won't retire. So that's why I say that. Whew, okay. I think that completes. No, I need one
You need one
more.
more
I need
actor.
one more actor, don't I? Ooh, who do I want? Who do I? I'm between three people, four people actually. I think one has the star ability, possibly. Hmm. This is tough. This is tough. This is tough. All three are young. I'm gonna take Margaret Qualley. I just think
No,
there's an it girl factor about Margaret Qualley that
I agree with that. She's very good.
I just watched The Substance the other night.
Uh huh.
She's electric in that movie. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yep. Now you understand why I said if it doesn't win best makeup and hairstyling, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's insane how crazy that movie is.
So you need another actor, correct?
No, I have mine.
Okay. So I'll let you pick your 13th, and then we'll go through the short list of all these categories
Okay.
that we thought about.
So the only one I need is a wild card,
Mm-hmm.
and this is one I knew you weren't gonna pick
You
because I knew you.
you could just take another actor if you wanted to.
No, I knew I want someone. I knew you weren't gonna pick beyond like a crew beyond director, actor, or screenwriter.
My number one is different, so maybe.
Oh, okay. Because I went Roger Deakins. If I can sign him exclusive and he can just shoot my movies, perfect.
That's a great choice. Roger Deakins obviously is a phenomenal DP. My wild card was actually a composer. Until I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
until you were
That's
playing
really
in the
smart too.
you were playing in the actor category so much. I was like, I'm just gonna take Tom Cruise and make sure I have some
Yeah.
bankable fucking
I'm just
stars
gonna
here.
look up real quick because I can never remember the actual number. He has been nominated. I know I think he's won twice. Oscars, I mean.
And what has he
Um,
shot that most people would remember the most?
Here, I'll just list them up because I have it up now. So these are all Oscar nominated. You got Empire of Light, which is a small movie no one's seen really. 1917, Blade Runner 2049, Sicario, Unbroken, Prisoners, Skyfall, True Grit, The Reader, The Assassination of Jesse James, No Country for Old Men, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Fargo,
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Shawshank.
He knows what he's
So
doing.
he's been nominated for 16 Oscars, and he's won twice.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
That's
I mean he's definitely on the older end. He was born in 1949. So what is that?
49. Okay, 50 to 25. That's 70. 76.
Okay, he's still got maybe
So
15 years.
so I'm gonna transition that, and then I'll go back to my wild card, and then we'll do all of our short list stuff here, right? One thing that I've thought about drafting for my screenwriters was Lawrence Kasdan. I think
He was
Lawrence
on my short list.
I think Lawrence Kasdan's a phenomenal screenwriter, but more importantly, with Roger Deakins or Lawrence Kasdan, with some of these older people, one of the things you could do in a movie studio system that could work in terms of a collaborative effort is getting these young people with talent around those old people who know what the fuck they're doing and saying
Mhm.
and learn from them. You could literally pay them to just be on a movie with them and just be like, I just want you to sit in a writer's room and write with Lawrence Kasdan and discuss ideas and think about what you're going to do because
Yeah.
Lawrence is going to challenge you in ways that other people won't. Same thing as you find a really talented young director of photography and then say, you're not working on this movie outside of being his assistant. And all you're going to do is learn from him. That's a genius idea. because then you pick up someone who's gotten all these tricks from that person.
Hmm.
It's never one for one. It's not like it's masonry where you go to a expert mason and then you become an expert mason because they were an expert mason. But you learn from some of the best to ever do it.
Yeah. So which one are you missing now?
So I have all 13 picks.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
one thing that I had as a wild card, and the reason I went Tom Cruise I already expressed, and Wes Anderson was in my
Oh,
wild
yeah, that's
card,
right.
was my wild card originally I had Michael Giacchino as my composer. He's
If I was to pick a composer, he'd probably be mine as well.
because I think Hans is past the point now where I've stood up for Hans Zimmer in every show we've ever made. So I like Hans Zimmer's work, but Hans is older, far more ghostwriters. And what I like about Giacchino is he's now been a producer and director on stuff too. So he really understands the collaborative effort. And he directed Werewolf by Night is really fun. It's a great Marvel special. And something you would love because it's an hour long project just for fun. Like a perfect streaming strategy idea.
I'm just looking up like other ones that are working today.
And to me it's not close. He's Star Trek, The Batman, but he's also done video game stuff. He's also done that's iconic in those circles. Like he just does
Yeah.
great fucking work.
I mean, unfortunately, even when you type in like modern film composers,
Yeah.
they're all still old.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like obviously if I'm not gonna lie, in this draft, if it was any time period, whatever, outside of Spielberg, my number one pick would be John Williams.
Yeah, easily.
But I have John Williams is 90 fucking 3 years old. I can't, as a studio head, I can't in good faith be like my first hire is John Williams, because
Yeah. I think other than
Father Time will eventually beat John Williams. Like,
I think other than Michael Giacchino, I think the only one is maybe Alexander. I don't know if it's Desplat or Desplat. I don't know if it's French
yeah.
or not.
Also, I would like to see how old Ludwig Göransson is. He's another one I really like his
Oh,
work.
he's young. He's very young.
Yeah, Ludwig is one I like. So those are the ones. But I think with Giacchino, I have someone who has an established record
Yeah,
of
he was
working in a
born
lot
in
of genre.
'84.
That's a great choice for this
Yeah.
draft. So, had I known his age, I would have thought about Ludwig a little bit more.
Hmm.
But especially with Michael Giacchino, he has someone who can give you the. He strikes me as someone no one's ever going to be as good as John Williams. But he strikes me the same ilk where you can put him in a horror movie and he can score that and it'll be phenomenal. But you can also put him in your action and he can make your theme that's going to carry you for the next 25 years musically. So that's
So
it.
who else was on your actor short list?
I thought about Barry Kagan.
Okay.
I thought he just makes great work. Simu Liu, I like a lot. I think he does a lot of great understated work. He's most famous for Shang-Chi, but I like him in a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
Unsure on how to pronounce her last name, but Stephanie Sue from Everything Everywhere.
Shu.
Yeah, so Shu. I think she is tremendous. I also thought Cynthia Erivo.
Hmm.
She's the only part of Wicked I love.
Hey, I just watched that yesterday.
It's fine.
Boy, was that not my movie.
Yeah, I know. Divine Joy Randolph. I really like her work. Her and the Holdovers is so fucking good. So
That movie's great.
that's just a great movie. And Michael B. Jordan also. It was one of those where
He was on my short list as well.
he was immediately going to jump if you took Peel or Gerwig and I had to go to Coogler because I forgot about Nolan. If I had to go to Coogler, immediately it was just me. I'm taking Coogler and then I'm taking Michael B. Jordan. I'm just going to pair them forever
Yeah.
because they're already doing it themselves.
So some of the actors I had down were Kate Blanchett,
Yep, I thought about Kate.
Leo, the obvious ones.
Yeah.
And then for younger ones, I had down Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
He's really, really good in everything he's in. He's just never like a star. So it's like,
Do you want to
he can
take
be
him? Yeah.
yeah, he can be a bit player in anything. Saoirse Ronan was my last younger pick.
Yeah, I like Saoirse
And then
a lot.
there was a bunch of people that I picked that were like older people that I was never actually gonna pick, but like
You want
I
him in your
do love.
wheelhouse, yeah.
Yeah. So I had like Tilda Swinton, Kate Winslet, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
You know, actors that like are just awesome, but they're not gonna be working for that much longer.
Right. Any other screenwriter wild card? Anything you want to talk about? I have one that I would discuss.
I the three that I had down were Michael Arndt, who did Little Miss Sunshine, Pete Docter, who's done a bunch of Pixar movies, and then Martin McDonough, who did Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri,
Yeah.
and he did Banshees of Inisherin. So he's another one that is director slash screenwriter.
Sure. The only screenwriter I have that I think is really merit worth talking, because I have Christopher McQuarrie on there and Adam McKay as just two writers I think would really fit what my studio goals would be. The other one that'll give you a little bit of a hint towards what I want to focus on as a studio is Taylor Sheridan, who's obviously now most famous for Yellowstone.
I was going to pick him as a writer as well, but then I was like, he doesn't make movies anymore.
And that's the thing is I look at Sicario, Hell or High Water, like these are really good. And then Yellowstone has a cinematic quality, which is why people liked Yellowstone before Kevin Costner left. Mm-hmm. And perfect example. I don't need to agree with your politics to work with you. Like, I don't give a fuck in terms of when it comes to just creating a movie. I think he is perfect for making a Western. I think he's perfect for that genre, and that's why I want him. So I was like, I would take Taylor Sheridan.
I'm really upset that he doesn't make movies because I love everything he makes.
Oh, I mean, you are the biggest defender of Sicario I've ever heard in my life.
And Hell or High Water, I love that movie too. So
yeah, so I mean, he makes good movies. So, do you want to talk a little strategy, or you want to go literary properties?
Let's go literary properties and just list your three, because I doubt they're going to be the same as mine.
Number one I have this is made into a Netflix series, but it's British Netflix, so it doesn't have the same reach. But I think this is a good movie. It's called The One. It's by John Mars. Came out like 2016. Nature. But the concept behind it is there's a woman who has scientifically figured out how to perfectly match you with the person you're meant to be with.
Okay.
And then you follow like 4 different characters, and so one is going through a journey of he's happily married in a straight relationship, but his perfect match is another man. So he has to deal with, well, if my perfect match is a man, what does that mean for me? And like, how does that go with them? Another is a woman whose match recently died. He died like right before the match came out, so her match is a deceased man. So she ends up using the sperm that he had already put away and has his baby. It's like fucking wild. There's also one with a serial killer, and his perfect match is a cop, and it's wild to just think of what. And then his joy that the rush of the feeling that he gets from being a serial killer kind of comes to an end because of his love for this woman who's a detective. And then it also follows your main character as the woman who figures it out. And there's a big thriller plot behind it as well. And she started the database to prove her findings through unwilling people. Like, she just took the office's DNA, and that's how she started working. So they were not willing participants.
It's a sci-fi movie?
It's not even a sci-fi movie. It's just kind of like it's kind of just set in modern day. But Ab was listening to the audiobook, and every 5 seconds, oh my god, like one of those reads, but she told me the whole thing about it, and I was like, that's a movie right there that I could see it very, not with the Tarantino tone, but I thought of it in a Pulp Fiction style, where we're going to follow like 4 different stories that are all interconnected. I was like, that's a really interesting, unique plot to go with. So I went with The One by John Mars as a big pick here. Second one, again, shows some strategy here. The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks. It's a great comedy read for anybody. It's a great pairing with World War Z. But just brings out the mundanity of a ridiculous situation, where like one of the things he writes in it is there's going to be a lot of downtime and a lot of boredom in the apocalypse. Make sure you pack a deck of cards with you. Make sure there's a board game or something around you. But I love the idea of it's kind of like, what's the fucking movie? You've talked about it on the show a lot, where it's the family that lives next to the concentration camp, and so
Zone of interest.
zone of interest, and so it's just like their life, but in the background
Hmm.
is just this horrible thing.
Yeah.
I kind of view it as that, where it's just this like family going through their mundane adventures of trying to survive, but really the backdrop is humanity is fallen and people are being
Yeah.
eaten. I think that's great horror comedy. And then my last one would be, it's been optioned but it's never been produced, is The Man from Primrose Lane. It's a great genre bender that gets into sci-fi territory and time travel, but it starts as very much a uh like it's a journalist tracking down this big story of somebody. Wildly great read. It's the first read I had as an adult where I just went, maybe I gotta give books some more shots. I don't have to just live in fantasy land with the stories I already know.
Hmm.
And I just gotta give a thriller a chance. So The Man from Primrose Lane by James Renner is also something I'd like to work.
All right. Yeah, mine. I. It was hard to do this because I was like, should I just pick classics? And that's kind of what I ended up doing.
Okay.
So I was like, what classics have not been like adapted properly? I guess I would say.
Sure.
So my first one is The Catcher in the Rye. Never seen an adaptation of that actually, which
You
is really surprising.
Worst book ever made. You should never make this movie. Picking
I
something new.
also I also do not like the book, but I mean, in terms of IP alone, I think it would sell good.
Yeah, and I would then burn your studio to the
Mhm.
ground. Fuck you.
I I think it would actually
It's the
do
worst.
really.
It's the worst fucking book in the world. Fuck J.D. Salinger and anyone who likes him.
If
Fucking
you
hate that
make it
book.
right, if you make it right with the right people, I think it would sell really well.
Yeah, just so he can.
Um,
Yeah, just so fucking Holden Caulfield can say phony every other goddamn word.
yeah,
Fucking. I hate that book with so much.
yeah.
It's one of the biggest things I hate in the world. Legitimately, is Catcher in the Rye. I think it's such a
No,
piece of
I mean,
trash.
I also did not. I haven't reread it since high school, but
Yeah.
I also did not like it at the time. I was going to pick The Great Gatsby, but then I was like, oh wait, Leo was in another adaptation of that.
Why
So I
don't
was
you
like,
just
oh,
Why don't you just do Great Gatsby with Leo again, but without Baz Luhrmann?
that's the problem. Is like, I don't think there is a great adaptation of that movie or of that book.
I think that Great Gatsby is one of those books that you'd have to do in two parts.
Maybe
it's just so big.
it's
Just
not really that big of a book. It's not like that in depth either.
but
It's
the
just
spectacle of it and everything that
yeah,
happens with it, and if you're gonna go to some of the character depths that the book goes to, not necessarily that the book is super long. I feel like you have to.
yeah.
You kind of got to split it
Um,
into two.
so it was either that or Catcher in the Rye. So I went Catcher in the Rye. The other one I went with was Fahrenheit
451.
451.
Yeah,
That one I read probably about a year ago now, and I really, really liked it quite a bit.
sure.
I think it's really timely, especially nowadays,
No.
with like
With a dystopian government that's trying to take everything away from us,
yeah,
including trying to change
and
the Smithsonian's history
yeah,
because they
and
don't
banning
like.
books.
Yeah, like fuck you,
Yeah,
fuck you,
books
Donald
are
Trump, and fuck anyone who likes him.
yeah, books are outlawed, and yeah, it's not it's not very subtle.
Oh, just for funsies, because it's the opposite effect. Did you see Yeti, the like cooler company, canceled a mass order for a conservative women's group, and then
Uh,
there was a ton of outrage because it was, oh, you guys are totally fine if a store owner won't make a cake for a gay couple, but if you can't get your magical mugs and coolers from
hmm,
them, then all of a sudden their free speech isn't worth anything. Fuck you. And you're like, it was one of those reverse Uno cards that you're like, finally it happened for a good
yeah,
reason.
I mean it's typical. Like a lot of things are hypocritical nowadays
I don't know, almost everything's
on
hypocritical at this point.
on both sides as well. It
Yeah,
must be stated,
yeah,
but
it must be stated, but it's just one of those that you never hear that issue usually for
yeah,
like
100%.
hey, you guys are really shitty people and we're not going to do that. It's more so the just somebody with existing prejudice is like, I'm not going to do that because I don't believe in it, and you're like, fuck
Yeah.
you.
There was an adaptation of Fahrenheit 451 with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah,
but I'm fairly certain that was just a TV movie.
Yeah, it was like an HBO series, I thought, or something like that. Like a limited.
I think it was a TV movie and not a series though.
Yeah,
I think. I don't remember. I didn't watch it, but it either way it wasn't like, a really big what it should be,
sure.
like a good adaptation of it. And then the last I actually had two more down that I really want to say. My first big budget movie I think I would do is Moby Dick. Like
Interesting.
throw a bigger budget at that movie. I think it might sell well. Maybe. On IP alone, because everyone knows the fucking name Moby Dick.
Sure.
So it
Interesting.
might sell well.
I have another book that we can talk about, but I think it goes well in a different conversation.
And
So,
then and then the one I actually care about is there's a book called Tuesdays with Maury.
yes, you fucking love Tuesdays with Maury.
It's yeah, it's about this guy
Dad
who
also fucking loved Tuesdays with Maury.
he connects later in life with his old professor, and then reconnect like every couple of weeks, and they just have sit downs and talks about like life lessons really, and
Yeah,
it's really really deep and really nice. That'd be like my Oscar bait type movie that
sure.
I would do. Try to do a little prestige thing going there.
Sure.
I could see that being a really good movie actually because it's like easily structured.
Yes.
Because I think the
Cheaper movie as well. You're
if I remember
you're
right,
paying for
I think
talent. You're
it's
not
like
paying for spectacle.
yeah, if I remember right, I think it's like 15 meetings between the two, something like that. So it's like that's a really simple structure. So,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
and then
Um,
the other one that I wrote down, but it would be impossible, is the Canterbury Tales. It'd be impossible to do, but it'd be awesome.
oh Jesus Christ, that's a lot. That's a lot of material. At least it's in the
Yeah,
public domain. You can make it.
yeah.
Yeah, the other one I had a public domain book because it just became public domain is The Curse of Capistrano, which is by Johnston McCulley, but it's the first Zorro book,
Oh, okay.
and so
Nice.
I thought about that one, which goes kind of towards our franchises. I'm dying to see what you picked as a franchise.
Well, what'd you pick first?
So I really wanted to pick Zorro because
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's in the wheelhouse that I want to play in. Or I'm not think I know that's the wheelhouse I want to play in. But I think if I'm gonna make a movie that I think it helps because I'd get the catalog to a bunch of movies and I could just make some quick streaming money, even though these movies suck. I had a similar idea for my franchises and my classic movie was take something that wasn't done well the first time, but there's something about it people like, so you can make it better the second time. Like those are the
Mhm.
movies I think deserve remake. So the franchise that I went with was Resident Evil.
That's fair, because I do
I'm a
think there actually is a lot of fans of it.
I'm one of them. I'm a huge fan of the video game series. It's every time it's brought to television or movies, it's never done properly. They don't stick with the characters you really want to play
Well,
with. It's just
the weird thing is the movies have nothing to do with the video games,
yeah.
which is so confusing.
Well, you also get what's his name, Paul W.S. Anderson as the director, and
Worst choice in the world.
bad choice. And he just makes bad '90s and early 2000s video game movie adaptations.
Mhm.
And the first one's usually fun, not great, but fun, so people are willing to accept it. And like Mortal Kombat, the first one, it's not a great movie, but at least it's fun for people, so they'll go watch it. And then you watch Annihilation, you're like, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my
Yeah,
life.
it's horrible.
And so,
I mean, he made like 5 or 6 Resident Evil movies.
oh, I know, and that's the thing is none of them have anything to do with. Only thing in Resident Evil about them is Umbrella Corp, and they make it such a weird, different thing. If you follow, I think I'd love the. Do you know anything about Resident Evil 7 or 8?
I I know whichever one is about there's one where it's like that giant woman and she has 3 daughters.
Yeah,
and the baby gets like split apart or whatever, and you have to like get it back together. Is that 8? I think.
that's 8. Yeah, eight's a great.
Okay, yeah, that's the one
But I'm looking
that's the one
at
I know
the
about.
ones I would want to adapt. I'd want to adapt Resident Evil 2 because I think that's perfect, and you could touch on Resident Evil 1 as well. But I want to play in the worlds of 2, 1, and if I eventually want to go spectacle, I'd go 4 because 4 has enough scares. That's like 4 is one of the best games ever. Resident Evil 4 is so much fun. But then I look at like Resident Evil 7 and 8. That's the tone I want to go for. Is those are you get a new protagonist named Ethan, and
Hmm.
it's all first person point of view. It's dark as shit. They're scary as fuck. They're just fun to play with, and then you slowly they do the pacing right. At first you're just like, I'm in this hell house. What the fuck? But everything seems creepy but not otherworldly, and
Yeah,
they slowly devolve into otherworldliness.
yeah. The setting of the eight is really fun,
In the
like that
village,
Eastern European like castle type vibe.
yeah, with the village underneath, and it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, I love the vibes of those. So those would be the ones like I would expressly stay away from 3, but specifically 5 and 6. I'm staying away from, and that's pretty much what all of the old Resident Evil movies were kind of like. Was what if the whole
Mm.
world was taken over by zombies, and then this woman comes to life and tries to save people? It's like you're missing the whole
Oh.
fucking point. You're missing the whole fucking point of everything. So yeah, I
So
thought heavily about Zorro, but I went Resident Evil because I thought
okay.
a lot of work that can.
Mine, I was torn between two. My first thought was Universal Monsters.
Yeah, I felt wrong taking that. That was my first. I'd love to have
Hmm.
that.
So I went with something that should be revived, and there's been talk about it forever. It's been in legal disputes forever too, because there's like all these weird discrepancies about what character is allowed and blah blah blah. What the
Yeah.
title is like. It's so I went Friday the 13th.
Okay.
I think you make those movies $20 million, they're gonna make their money back.
Not only are they gonna make their money back, they can become your yearly event.
Yeah,
You can crank those bitches out fast, and they don't have to
yeah.
be.
Because I would just get like good up and coming horror directors, no name casts. Like I would just go talented young people. They don't have to be names or anything.
Sure.
And that's pretty much what that franchise was built on.
Uh-huh.
Was just kind of fun summer movies.
Are you trying to do any creative control with it, or are you giving complete control to your new directors?
I would just whoever wants to.
Have some fun. That's all it is.
Yeah. I would just I would have writers write scripts for those movies,
Sure.
and then whoever writes the best one, we make those. Because technically, they don't have to have a story, a through line.
No.
I mean, it's just Jason Voorhees. Like, it's so simple.
Yeah. Uh.
Even if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, they don't have to have through lines.
Yeah.
Like, so
Maybe have if you want a through line, have one character survive, and then they're the one
yeah,
connective tie, but you don't need that.
yeah, that's the one I would do. Because I was thinking like
You could almost
those.
kind of do it Mission Impossible esque, where you change the way Jason's defeated at the end of the movie every time, and
Well,
this,
they do that in the franchise
yeah, and
itself.
just like what? How does he come back? And it's just Mission Impossible. How do we top the last time? Where
They
that's the big set piece of the movie.
they do that in the franchise
Yeah.
all the time, and it's very ridiculous. Yeah, so that's one that will like, be so easy to make,
Sure.
and for some reason, it's been in legal disputes for like 15 years. I want to say now, because the last movie was 2009.
Yeah, that's true.
So
They've made a game since then. Have you ever looked at the
yeah,
game?
the game is really fun. I love
Interesting.
it, and it's like really, really like true to the franchise,
Sure.
which is really fun. But yeah, those are like you could make those dirt cheap. You're literally shooting at a summer camp and in the woods.
Yeah.
Like
You
when
mean the
people are
locations that we'll one day use when we finally make your movie?
like when you're a low budget filmmaker, those are like the simplest ideas to execute.
See, I
So
thought maybe you'd buy a Sleepaway Camp and run with Sleepaway Camp as a franchise.
nah, that doesn't have the prestige of Friday the
The
13th.
only other franchise I thought about besides Resident Evil and Zorro, it just didn't fit my mold. It's just I want this franchise to be treated with respect. Is Power Rangers just because I love it.
I thought you were gonna pick it, honestly.
It's just simply I don't understand why nobody can crack it because it truly does have a rabid fan base where the
I'll
people
tell
who
you
love it.
why. Because they can't choose who they're going to market it for.
I know.
They're always torn between should we make it for teenagers? Should we make it for kids? Should we make it more geared towards the people who actually liked it back in the day?
See, the thing is, the way I would do it is number one, I'd make it for teens, but you make it in a way that just 2 days ago, we went over to our friend's house, and our friends have two really young kids. Their kids are just under 3 and 1 years old, and 1 year old. So but they have this really beautiful big theater in their house. So we're like, well, let's do pizza and movie night, and that's gonna be our new thing. And the whole time I was like, well, if the kids are gonna watch, because their 3 year olds are just at the age where he can sit through a movie and actually be impacted by it. Where the 1 year old just put on whatever you're gonna put on; they're not paying attention to the movie anyways. As long as it's not like wildly scary for them, it's fine, right? And we watched Shrek, and Shrek is an adult movie that's coded as a kids movie. It's not a kids movie that's got some stuff for adults. It's really an adult movie that's taken seriously that's then coded for kids. That's the way
Yeah.
I think you need to make the vast majority of stuff. Because in the day, although it wasn't always the most appropriate things, everything was made for an older audience, but then made to be acceptable for youth. We're like, okay, let's take out where someone might actually like just say something horrendously adult and put it in a way where we still get our point across, but we take out all these curse words. But the tone's still there, everything is still there. Like I view it that way. Whereas if someone was going to do that franchise, you have to make it for the youth of the day, but still have the cheese and the fun that people who actually like it, such as myself, again, like do it that way and start off hot. I don't understand this whole like we always have to have an origin story. Do what the Batman did. Everybody knows who fucking Batman is. So you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna start with Batman. We're not gonna do this. How does he become Batman? Everybody knows. What do you know about Power Rangers? They have bright suits with big fucking robots, and they use martial arts to their advantage to beat aliens. So just start with that shit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So your classic movie, you said you were gonna do something with it.
Yes. So
Okay, okay,
so originally my classic movie, it was kind of a cheat to get a fantasy franchise. At
okay.
first. My classic movie at first I was going to take The Black Cauldron. Cult
Oh,
classic.
okay. Yeah.
Let's make it properly. Let's actually do the book series. We got our franchise for the next 10 years, 15
hmm
years. Make one every 3 years. Actually take our time. But then I just fell in love with the idea. I don't know why this works in my head. I think it's just because he played M'Baku. I'm going to take 1982's Conan the Barbarian as my classic movie, and I'm going to start a new Conan franchise with Winston Duke as my Conan.
That's fair.
He's
I mean,
38. He has this giant presence about him, but he has the humor to him that also makes it a little bit more the fun.
yeah. I guess it is all about who you choose to be around it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch the Conan with Jason Momoa.
No, neither have I, because I've only heard
It
horrible
looked
things.
crap.
Yep. But I think
Honestly,
I think he's a perfect choice for it. Like he's
no, he
such a
was a good choice.
logical choice, especially coming off
Um,
called Drogo at the time. Like it was right as he was starting called Drogo in Game of Thrones. Like he was a genius choice, but the rest of the movie around him is trash.
yeah.
I've
I'm
never
just trying
watched it
to.
because I was like, I've never heard anything positive about Jason Momoa, or about that movie. But Jason Momoa is such a perfect, ideal casting choice to make Conan, which is
Yeah, I
why I
was
think he's
looking.
perfect for the iteration of Aquaman that he plays.
Oh, I was looking up who directed it, and it's actually I would actually I don't think he's a good choice for that movie, but I actually do think he's a decent director. His name, I wouldn't have known this, is Marcus Nispel, and he directed the Friday the 13th remake, which I actually really do think is pretty good. He
That's
did
not bad. I remember watching that. Yeah.
the reboot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which actually like kind of was revolutionary in a way because it like pretty much started the whole rebooting of horror franchises.
Yeah.
And then he also worked on National Treasure. So like he's not the worst choice in the world, but I don't think he's the right choice for that movie.
Well, Conan, the problem is people need to realize Conan is a fantasy movie, but you have to make it sword and sandal. You can't make it.
Yeah.
You can't put the ridiculous first. You have to do the ridiculous second.
Well, they also made it just like another lame action movie.
Right. And
So it's
that's
just
why
like,
I
eh.
was like, I thought, this is gonna be what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make this guy a star. I'm gonna try to make this guy a star by making Conan the Barbarian. It's also a franchise that has pre existing material to it, but you can do anything. You're not stuck with,
Mhm.
well, he's in these 4 stories and we have to make these 4 stories. You can make any character you want. You can make anything you want. So you just go, what? We only need to stick to the core tenets of what is the character, what makes him cool, what makes him appealing, how do we make him grow over time.
Mhm.
That's it.
Okay. So my classic movie is the exact opposite. I picked a movie that I never want to touch ever. I don't want anyone messing with it, so I picked Jaws.
And you're just like, nope, no one will ever have it ever again.
I just no one can mess with it again. I mean, like
I don't think anyone is going to though,
you never know.
because
People
the only
can
thing
try
is,
remakes. People can try to remake it.
I
People
mean, they
can do
do just
weird shit.
they make shark movies every year trying to remake Jaws. It's just not
No, but I'm
not
saying
called Jaws, you know.
actually try to remake it. Like people talk about rebooting Back to the Future and stuff like that.
See, that's the one I was gonna say. If you're gonna protect something, Back to the Future should have been the choice.
No,
Because if you take Back to the Future 1, no one's gonna touch 2 and 3. You know.
I I feel a stronger urge to protect Jaws than I do Back to the Future.
Although I disagree with that, in terms of protecting, the one I think that's in most danger is Back to the Future. If Jaws speaks to you more, more
Mhm.
power to you, you know. Back to the Future obviously
I would
speaks to
agree.
me more, but Back to the Future is the one that's in far more danger because they all try to make Jaws just in different ways now and don't call
Sure.
it Jaws. Where Back to the Future, the second you call something Back to the Future, it is cursed. It will never be done better than what it
Mhm.
was done.
Yeah, that's true. Also, the Goonies with them coming out with a sequel,
Yeah, I'm not.
disappointing.
I don't think it's gonna happen. They've been trying
I
for
hope not.
they've been trying for 40 years and they can't make it happen.
I hope not.
I don't want to see Goonies 2. I'm gonna be in the
So in,
theater when they eventually do it, so I can't say I'm not gonna be hypocritical. But I'm gonna sit there and just go, God damn it.
so in terms of streaming strategy, the only thing I wrote down is I find it extremely annoying that a studio doesn't do this. I don't know why they just don't take their entire catalog from like 1980 and prior and just have every single movie available. Like all their classic movies. Everything that they have digitized, they should have available. I don't know why they don't have it because there's tons of movies that some months will just not be on a streaming service
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you just had your own streaming service as a studio itself and you had all those classic movies, uh, me personally, I would subscribe to that streaming service
I mean,
because there'd
yeah.
be so many movies. There'd be thousands of movies that like Warner Brothers, if they just had all their classic movies on HBO Max, I would be like, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, the problem with that, which I agree, for the consumer that'd be awesome, is in this draft you don't have any movies outside of Jaws
Oh
and
no, no. I'm saying
and Friday
if
the
I were to
13th.
I'm saying if I were to like buy
A
like
studio.
a catalog, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Like not like obviously you can't buy Warner Brothers or Universal, but like one of the prior ones maybe you
sure.
could get.
It's an interesting strategy.
Cuz I like obviously you don't want to have all of your movies available all the time cuz you want to like sell them out to other streaming services, like your bigger ones that will actually get you money,
Yeah,
you know, like your Back to the Futures, your even Jaws,
yeah.
or like
That
your
that's an interesting strategy. And
I
if
just
you had the history of a whole studio behind you, yes, I don't think anyone really does that well. Max
no
start
one does it.
Well, the thing is this. Warner Brothers half-ass kind of did it with Max for a while. And then Max became Warner Brothers Discovery. Let's make sure we have this whole TV library and all of HBO. But they started with the big collections that I really liked, and I thought it was really smart. They're like, hey, here's the DC collection. Here's all the DC stuff we own. Here's the Turner Classic Movies. We're going to rotate through them, but here's 50 to 100 Turner Classic Movies that we own that are going to be here all the
Yeah.
time.
So just for reference, I just typed in how many movies has Warner Brothers made, and it's roughly about 7,500. So let's just say half that.
Yeah,
So you would have like 3,000 movies on there, all back catalog, and maybe like only 2,000 of them are actually digitized and ready to be
sure.
streamed.
Yeah.
But that's still like a giant catalog of movies that would be available and bring people in, I would think. I think there's enough classic movie buffs that
I
would
think what's also
subscribe.
interesting is what you could do with that is if that streaming service were to exist outside of this draft, right? You also have the opportunity before every single movie that you produce, put a preview out in the theater
Hmm.
or in your digital ads when someone buys the new Batman on Amazon Prime or they play it on Max, right? You say the requirement is if you want this movie, you have to play this 30-second stinger for us.
Yeah. And it's just a preview of like old classics. Like, I don't know. It just frustrates me that a lot of streaming services have a selection of maybe 200 classic movies. And they're always like the same ones that are always getting
There are some
recycled.
that are active and there's some that are not, and then like I will say it's difficult as a fan who's trying to track down older stuff by really well-known people, but it's not their premier stuff. Like
Hmm.
I got excited for February that Always was on fucking Netflix. Not that Always is a good movie. I don't know if I'm ever gonna fucking watch it, but it's a Spielberg movie that's never on a streaming service. I've been
Yeah.
trying for fucking months to try to find Empire of the Sun,
Oh, really?
just because it's a Spielberg movie and I just want to watch it. I'm trying
Hmm.
to complete the Spielberg fucking category or catalog. It's never on a fucking streaming service, ever. And it's just one of those, and I'm like, you know what? Like, obviously I don't think Empire of the Sun's gonna do big numbers on a streaming service, but you know, it
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's not
suck.
this month.
Yeah, it wouldn't suck to have that ability. My streaming strategy here is this: is I want to find a streaming service that I think works best. I think for movies, the two best streaming services are Max and Peacock. The reason I say that is Max and Peacock are the only streaming services that I see that do a really good job of making a big deal out of movies coming to their streaming service. Where Peacock makes it a big deal, any big Universal hit, for a month before it comes to streaming, they're talking,
Hmm.
oh, hey, Nosferatu's coming to Peacock. It
Yeah.
appears on this day. And they make that whole thing a big deal. So those are the two that I would be most likely to do. Ideally, I'd want to do nothing comes out 4 to 5 months post release. I don't like the streaming model where 3 months later it's, you know, streaming. I'm like, that kind of sucks. Because it's great because you get the front end interest going still a little bit more, but I don't think you get as much that long burn that you used to get, and that's actually a problem. Where the one thing I will say for like Paramount Plus, they did Top Gun Maverick really well. They built that shit up for like 6 months, where they're like, Top Gun Maverick's coming, Top Gun
Well,
Maverick's
there's
coming, and then
yeah,
when it came
and
out,
there
everyone's like, oh, I should get Paramount Plus because I want to see Top Gun Maverick.
yeah, and there's been a lot of talk from from directors saying how they like that old kind of release schedule back
Yeah.
because it just isn't working right now.
Well, it makes nothing feels like it has staying power. Nothing feels like it matters. Like a
Yeah.
perfect example, this was just said on another Ringer podcast. They were talking about the MCU, but Captain America Brave New World is the #1 movie of the year of 2025. It came out Valentine's Day, and it feels like it never happened. Now, granted, that's also a mark of the quality of the movie, but it's the number
Hmm.
one movie in the box office the year, and it feels like it never came out. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
goodbye. It's like it's fucking wild. The other thing is, I think Perfect World, the big blockbusters that I'd be making that would hopefully make money, be the thing everyone talks about. Those would be 6 months at least. I'd be like, you're not doing. The only thing I would ever do is maybe like in a style like I made the big June movie. I'd be like, oh, we're gonna try to take over Christmas for streaming. So that'd be the only time I'd go earlier than 6 months for some of those big. Like if I make Conan the Barbarian and it's a June fucking 14th release, I'll be like, all right, everyone loved Conan. Fuck it, put it up for Christmas so families will
Hmm.
watch it. Older families will watch it together for Christmas because they have nothing better to do Christmas Day after the meal than watch Conan the Barbarian. Okay, fuck it. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of actual like production, my what I would try to do if I was had all the control, I'd say every single movie is somewhere in that mid-range budget.
Yep.
So 30 to 75 million. And then like obviously if you have a bigger name, it's going to be a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Like Tarantino probably gets around 100 million, I'd assume.
Yeah.
125 maybe.
Yeah.
And then I'd have maybe one or two big budget movies.
Yeah. The way I looked at it
But
was
I wouldn't be making, those $300 million movies
no. You're not
that
Marvel
just like
Studios trying to make $300 million movies every time.
that also just don't seem like logical choices either.
Yeah.
Where it's like you sunk $300 million into that.
Yeah.
Like it just some of them just don't make sense.
No. The thing is this is I went through and I went through the last couple of years. Universal releases 23 movies on average a year. Or they did in 2024, 2023, 2024. Paramount was 16. Warner Brothers, it's a little bit of a different story because they were being bought and they were trying to cut costs. And Warner Brothers Discovery has turned very much into a conglomerate of television and movies now. Warner Brothers had 9 to 17 movies in the last couple of years. Where 2024 they only
Huh?
had 9 movies. But previous to that they had about 16, 17 a year.
So those must be directly produced and not negative pickups.
Probably. And then Disney had about 10 to 12, which shocked me because it feels like there's a Disney movie coming out all the time.
Yeah, this must be like directly produced movies. Yeah.
If it were me, I'd be looking for 8 movies a year, probably tops. I don't want to make 20 movies. And I want to focus on westerns, horrors, and comedies. That's it. And I want to do fantasy as well as my big budget cool. But Westerns, I want to focus on what they did in the fucking 60s. Look at how cool this shit is, but we just have to take a crew to somewhere that's fucking cool. I don't need to do all this wild shit in CGI. I just need to go get a beautiful landscape shot with my actor riding a fucking horse.
Yeah.
Like,
so just for reference, let me see here. There's been 18 movies that have been $300 million plus budget over the past. The oldest one is 2011, which was on Stranger Tides. And the highest budget was Force Awakens, apparently.
yeah.
With $450 million.
I assume a lot of that was post-production. I think that a lot of that was media. Stuff like that.
Maybe.
Is
I don't
The
know if
Amazing
they're
Spider-Man 2 on that one? Because I know that was an enormous budget. That would tell me how much of this is back-end press versus total production.
It's not.
Holy fuck. Okay, maybe Force Awakens was that expensive. Okay. Fuck. Jesus Christ.
Holy shit. You know that movie with Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt?
Yeah, Electric State?
That movie was $320 million, apparently.
That's a waste of money. Because I watched part of it yesterday. I went to the card show, and I came back, and Ab was watching it. I was like, this is trash. And she's like, oh, it's been awful the entire time. I was like, you don't have to finish it. And she's like, yeah, I'm not going to. And she handed me the controller.
This is my point. Who's making these decisions where it's like, yeah, we'll sink $300 million into that?
Well, that's one of those things where when people say Netflix is too big to fail, I'm like, are they? Because this is bullshit. Like,
I just don't like. If I see that movie with that concept and like that team of people, because it's the Russos, right?
Yeah.
I would, if you force me to guess, I'd say, probably about 100 million.
Yeah, 120 maybe.
How are they getting 3 times that? That makes no sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, my budget target, I literally said low to high budget, $2 to $100 million, and then parentheses, occasional blockbuster, where I would pay more than $100 million.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I'm thinking, like, I'm making a big spectacle Western, and I've got my 4 biggest studio stars together, and we're going to do the classic studio every once in a blue moon. We bring all our people together, and we're making something big. I'm putting Glenn Powell and Florence Pugh and Daniel Kaluuya and Ana de Armas in this fucking movie, and I'm just gonna blow this budget up a little bit for talent.
I'm making as many $20 million movies as possible.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I put horrors and comedies down for a reason. They're cheap and they make money.
I'm cranking out those rom-coms.
Well, the thing is, if
you make good rom-coms, people doubt that. How popular they could be.
Well,
but I really think there's a market out there.
I was essentially talking through this draft strategy to myself while I took a walk the other day, and the mid-budget movie doesn't exist anymore. But also, I was looking at comedies aren't released theatrically anymore. That's a problem. As are rom-coms. Westerns are never released ever, and they're rarely ever made.
Well, I was gonna say Westerns aren't made.
Half the horror movies are streaming exclusives for streamers. Most of them are not made outside of a few little ones. Free, like, those are what used to be studio backbones, because they could put $5 to $10 million in and get $50 million out, because they just stay in the theater. They hit the niche audience that they did, or even if they only made $30 million, it's still a $25 million profit. Like, that's where I'm looking, where I would do the exact same thing. Get these young, talented people that are hungry. Okay, here's $10 million. Go make me a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, hey, we have Margaret Qualley has another movie on contract with us, and we don't have plans for Margaret for the next year or two. But we want Margaret to be in... We never want Margaret to leave the zeitgeist. Okay, well, Here's Margaret.
I also would not make any exclusive streaming movies.
No, I wouldn't either.
Like everything would be in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Because as much as people say like, oh, that's just the norm nowadays, like, yes, marketing might cost more, but if you're
Marketing
actually if you're
marketing doesn't
focused on
have to cost more. That's the problem.
yeah, if you're focused on quality rather than just churning shit out, marketing should take care of itself.
Yeah, you can just use social media to your advantage. YouTube is free.
Exactly.
TikTok is free. And here's the thing. I'm not saying you don't pump money into advertising it, but hey, new movie coming from Christopher Nolan. Put that shit up on a trailer, and you just put up a post the day before. New Christopher Nolan movie trailers debuting. You know what happens? All the streamers go, well, we got to live react to the Christopher Nolan trailer. Click. Ain't that fucking hard?
Also, another thing I would do as a studio, zero PR. I just hate like when people get dragged into like really stupid controversies.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this group is complaining about this movie that a studio made, but it's like some like political thing. It's just like let those people say it. Who fucking cares? Like,
Yeah,
if you respond,
my response would literally be, more power to you for your opinion. Bye.
I would say nothing.
Yeah.
Want to know why? Because it's gonna die in 2 days. It does not matter.
Exactly.
Like the only way I would respond is if like, a Jonathan Majors thing type of thing happened.
Yeah,
Then I'd be like, yeah, we're cutting ties.
Yeah, we have to we have to respond to this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's perfectly, but that's the point of this draft. The point of this draft, the fun part is the fantasy casting, but it actually puts you in the spotlight of what would you do, how would you think, and what do you think the flaws in the current thinking are. So the back half of this conversation is more important than the actors we would pick, or the other thing is that, and that's the thing I always think about. Did you have some fun with this? I thought you might enjoy this one, so that's why we did this. But that has been the movie studio draft for the Wisco River Studios versus Dylan's no-name studios that he can't think of a name for, which we'll workshop after this and we'll talk about. Eventually, you'll get to hear a studio name from Dylan. Down the road sometime.
Maybe.
Down the road sometime, you'll hear something. But that has been today's show. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening wherever you may be. Stay tuned for more ONETA Show and more Wisco Movie Watchers podcast. I don't have our schedule up, but pretty soon we're going to be back in the Top 100 series. I know we have our Pretty Woman episode coming up soon. I know we have another Big Box Office and Cult Classic episode coming out soon. So check those out. And actually, by the release of this, a couple weeks from now, we will have our summer movie preview episode out. So stay tuned for all those things. It'll be a heck of a lot of fun. But go enjoy a great movie and enjoy your day. Love yourself. Peace, love, and hugs. Goodbye!